Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about My Adventures with Superman Season 1. So I finally decided to watch that of My Adventures with Superman after watching the first episode last year. This show came out in 2023, but I didn't have HBO Max at that time, and then when I did get it, I completely forgot about it. So then I'm all like, okay, I guess I'll watch it. When I watched the first episode, I really just wasn't feeling it. It was very different. I will say that this series is very different. Like, it's Superman that we all know and love, but with a twist to it and a different style to it. It reminds me of a cross between that of the Batman, the animated series from the WB Kids, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Teen Titans. Because even though this is an American cartoon, it's drawn by that of a I think South Korean studio and everything. Whichever one, I think it's South Korea, I think. Or is it the one that where K-pop music comes from? So yeah, it's drawn by like a Korean like studio company. And when you look at it, it looks very much like anime. Like it looks like Japanese anime and stuff. But it's an American cartoon. So it's more resembled that of Avatar: The Last Airbender, where it still has like, an American approach to it, but with some slight anime-ish type like features and stuff. It is the animation just all on its own is very influenced by anime and stuff. And so when I watch it, I just always think I'm watching anime and stuff like that. Now, this series is very silly. Like, it revolves around that of Superman, Lois Lane, and Jimmy Olsen. They're three buds that are interns at the Daily Planet, something that's very different from what we all know and love. They're also in their early 20s. Clark is about 22, 23, and Lois is 23. And Lois and Jimmy are very oddball like. They're very, very, very silly in this. At least Jimmy is. Lois was very silly until she found out Clark's identity. After that, she starts to mature and she's a completely different character. Whereas Jimmy is literally just a buffoon. And I have some mixed feelings about this series. Like, I don't think it's perfect. It's nowhere near as great as Superman, the animated series, but it's not entirely bad. Now, at first, with the first couple of episodes, I did not like this show because it was just so different, so strange, so bizarre, and just completely different from what I know of Superman. But then when the moment Lois finds out about Clark's secret, things get better. You start to figure out more about the plot because it's more like elaborated on. Now, when I say like it has that blend of the Batman, what I mean is that when Batman animated series came out, it had a very unique style. And then when the Batman came out, it had to change some things. It kept the basis of what Batman is and the villains, like their origin stories, their motivations, all remained the same. Only thing that was different was their designs and everything, and their personalities were tweaked. So all the villains had completely different designs in the Batman, and their personalities were tweaked. As for the heroes, their costumes and personalities were just tweaked, and that's it. Here, on the other hand, one of the problems I had with this series was I didn't really recognize none of the villains at all. And I started getting like some ideas, okay, maybe this is this person and that person, because they look completely and act completely different than what we know Superman villains are. Now, Lex Luthor is not in this. The only villain who acts the way she normally does is Amanda Waller. Everybody else got a complete radical design and a complete radical personality. Not only that, but the twist of this show is that none of these villains are metahumans. No, they're regular humans that are using technology to use their powers. And the twist is there. Okay, I got there's like Inner Gang, there's like hold on a second. So villains like Livewire, Deathstroke. I did not know that was Deathstroke at first. Like seriously, and the dude barely talks. Anyway, Deathstroke, Inner Gang, Banshee, what's his name? Dr. Ivo, and then they combined Dr. Ivo with Parasite for some bizarre reason. And Mix-a-Pix-a-Lot, whatever his name is. And so, like, I had a hard time knowing who any of these villains were. Oh, also Brainiac and Zod show up at the end. And so I had no idea who they were. They just look different, they act different, and all their powers came from technology. Now, technology came from Canvas. And so it got stolen by Livewire, and she just gave it out to a bunch of villains and stuff. But then it turns out that Canvas technology is really Kryptonian technology that they took from an invasion that was going to happen 22 years ago. And so, yeah, so that's really interesting. Now, the whole Parasite thing is weird because he has kind of like this organic metal suit, and the more he absorbs, he just turns into a giant, like, kaiju and everything. It's really odd and different. And I don't know why they combined Ivo and Parasite for. But they did make the point to say this is Parasite 1.0. So maybe we'll get a different version later, but who knows. But I do not like the redesigns of the villain costumes and stuff. They're just too off the wall, and you can't tell who's who. The thing about the Batman is that when they modified their costumes, you still knew who the Joker, Catwoman, Penguin, and all these other people were. I don't know why they would go with such a radical design. And some of these people costumes, they do the whole Hollywood live action thing where a supervillain will decide just to wear regular baggy clothes and everything, which makes it even harder to tell out who they are. But the most oddball design was Brainiac. Gone is that green skin and the purple and the blacks, and now he's wearing a cape and a Kryptonian type outfit. And then there's Zod, whose face we don't know what it looks like, but he's wearing a helmet and stuff. There are some changes here and there that are cool and some that are just kind of weird. But here is Mr. Pix-a-Lot, and he is just completely redesigned in an anime-ish type style and everything. And so here's the thing I'm having a problem with the animation. I do like the body designs. Everybody's body design looks real, you know what I'm saying? And that's really cool. Now, when it comes to Superman, it's weird. Clark looks more buff than Superman. And Superman, when you see him, he has like, you know, it looks like he's wearing a muscle suit, but he's not. It's just like the fabric is wrapping around his actual muscles. But the way it's designed, it looks like a muscle suit and it looks very odd. Also, they gave him a bulge. I don't like that because originally his costume was a New 52 looking kind, but his mom modified it and gave it the red trunks and this and that. And I don't like the red trunks. I'm so tired of the red trunks. I don't want to go back to the red trunks. Now, this show takes a lot of influence from every Superman project you've ever seen. Mostly the modern stuff. The modern stuff where Lois is dating Clark and not dating Superman, where Lois knows who Clark is, and Clark not so much being a bumbling idiot, but being more like, you know, he's unsure of himself. Like, get Smallville vibes. Like, think of like that. You know what I'm saying? Smallville meets Man of Tomorrow, the Superman animated movie from the Tomorrowverse. It's very much like that, where he's very unsure of himself. He doesn't know like how he's gonna fit in. You know, he's falling in love with Lois at first sight, and you know, and he's just trying to be the best Superman he can be because they skipped over the Superboy origins. So here he's learning all his abilities when he's an adult in his early 20s. And in this version, they do harper from, like I said, other source material. Like say Jimmy Olsen, they use Flamebird, which is a name he used when he was a superhero in an alternate universe comic book. Also, like the whole Jimmy Olsen and Clark Kent, or Superman, I should say, sleep. No, it's Clark Kent, I think. It was one of those in the comic book where they both slept in the same room but in different beds. And so here they made them into roommates and stuff. We have Lois finding out Clark's identity and trying to prove it to him by jumping off the ledge of a building and him catching her. Um, the whole Kryptonian and Zod, like the whole like alien invasion thing, very Man of Steel. They even have one of the animated designs from the Superman animated series come in when Mr. Pissalot is like changing Clark's appearances from different multiverses and stuff. And there's just like other little nods like here and there. Like they even have Bloodhaven they show when he's there. And it is neat that they incorporated so much lore into this, but also twisted it in their own narrative and stuff. And so that's also pretty cool. Now, character-wise, Lombard is probably my favorite character. I love Lombard and all the outrageous stuff he says. Now, one thing I do like is that they made this very diverse. I've heard that this Superman cartoon is very controversial for like a lot of different reasons. I haven't looked at no other reviews for this because I just don't want to see the anti-woke people go crazy because everybody here is race bent except for Superman. Some people who are race bent can't even tell what race they are. Like take Lois. Her and her dad are supposed to be Asian. They are voiced by Asian voice actors. Yet their last name is still Lane. And not only that, but when you look at Lois, I can't tell she's Asian. She just looks kind of Hispanic to me or just somebody with a tan. Normally in animation, they will give Asian characters squinty eyes like Bruce Timm used to do. And what is it? The new redesign for X-Men 97 with Jubilee. You can tell she's Asian now because of her eyes squinting and stuff. And here, I just honestly can't tell. But when it comes to Jimmy, he's black, but he don't act black. He acts like a more dorkier version of Jimmy Olsen that everybody knows. And he's so outrageous with his dorkiness, he doesn't even have even a hint of swagger to him. And I really don't like that because they basically just whitewashed the dude. And why make him black if you're just going to make him act white and everything? At least with Lois, she still acts like a typical white Lois, but when she went to an event, she wore kind of like this kimono type outfit, an Asian inspired like, you know, dress suit type thing. So they let you know, hey, she is Asian and everything. But with Jimmy, he's just as white can be with just black skin color. Also, his hands freak me out. Okay, I know as a black man, the palm of our, the back of our hands are dark and the other part is like lightly colored. They did that here. And it drives me nuts. Because it looks weird. I'm not used to seeing that in animation. And like, I think Lombard might be Hispanic, but I think he's voiced by an Asian dude. I don't know, because a lot of their Asian characters look Hispanic. So I just don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I do like how they made everybody diverse. A whole lot more than what James Gunn did in his Superman movie. And so, like, what is it? Personality-wise, my second favorite person is Clark. Not Superman, but Clark. I just like Clark's design, his hair. I like how humble he is. I like how unsure he is. Some of the best scenes that I liked is just him being nervous around Lois, or him as a child, you know, discovering who he is with the spaceship and everything. Those were some of my favorite scenes. The action scenes are just generic. I would have assumed in the year 2023 they would have been more extravagant. They would have been way more cool. I mean, look at Young Justice, you know what I'm saying? And even in Superman the animated series, that was back when they was very limited to their animation style. But look at all these animated movies they do, and it's just like they do a so much more better job with action than this show. The action's nice, but it could be so much better and everything. And so, like, my least favorite characters are just Jimmy, probably. Like Lois too. Lois was just unbearable in the first couple of episodes. It's like she's not really that go-getting news reporter who always puts herself in the limelight of danger, and she's not really that detective type person trying to figure things out. Like she does figure out Clark's secret, but it's just so random how it just happened because of plot armor. But like I said, after she finds out his secret, she becomes a lot more nice, caring person and everything. Even like stopping her dad for killing Superman and everything. Jimmy, on the other hand, is just a buffoon. He's literally in his own world. When I think of Jimmy, I think of like the most anime-ish type person like ever that's just so silly and over the top, and he just doesn't fit in this show. Like he's just so out there and everything. And he's normally in his own little world. Even though there are three buds and everything, he's always off doing his own thing, and he's kind of like a third wheel and stuff. But he's so cringe, he gets on my nerves. And I'm like, why? Why do this? You know there's gonna be backlash, because there was when people found out Lois was gonna be Asian and Jimmy was gonna be black for a second time. He was black in live action many years ago on the Supergirl show. And that, after received so much backlash, he later on just left the show and everything. And here they make him black again, but they made him into such a buffoon so people can laugh at him and not with him, and it gets on my nerves and stuff. His parents are okay. The dad's one of those loving, goofy type dads that's kind of like just stupid. And the mom is just so loving and everything. And then you have like General like Lane, who starts off very evil towards Superman and hard nosed because something happened 22 years ago with an alien invasion, and something happened to his wife. Then when he saw Superman break down and cry, talking about why would my parents send me to Earth just to invade it, then he started acting nice and didn't want to kill Superman no more until Amanda Waller took over and gave him instructions to kill him. After that, when he meets Clark, not knowing it's Superman, he's just one of those grizzly type general type dudes. And then when he finds out he is Superman, he tries to kill him and everything, only to lie and say that, he got away and stuff. So his personality is like all over the place. And we still don't know what happened to his wife, but most likely she probably either died or left him, which Lois does not know. I like what they do with kryptonite. Like, if now it's not only just Kryptonians, but it's their technology too that's affected by kryptonite. And when you're exposed from it, it gives you green veins and it creates green crystals on your skin, killing you from the inside out. That is really neat, and I like that twist. Oh, before I forget, because I did forget, there's a very odd scene that happens in episode 2, and it's the only time it happens. It's when Clark does a Sailor Moon Magic Girl transformation. Now, if you know anything about Magic Girl transformation, it's just pure Japanese anime and stuff. And the fact that this is what happens when he first dons his costume, it just transforms on him in a very Magic Girl kind of way. And I'm just kind of like, okay, is that how he gonna transform every episode? No. In every other episode, he just does the typical rip his shirt off and transform and everything. And I'm just kind of like, what was the point of this scene? Like, I've been seeing this a lot. She-Ra, He-Man. Like, it's just everything is getting influenced by like Japanese anime now. As for the plot of this, it's your typical reimagining of Superman coming to Earth as a giant spaceship. He's never really truly been inside because he can't really access it, but then he is able to. And his dad is a hologram, and his dad speaks Kryptonian, and he can't speak that, so he's not sure what the dude is saying, and he doesn't want no part of it. he just goes about his life like trying to juggle being Superman and Clark Kent. And it's to the point where they do the whole, oh, Superman, I'm not Superman, I just gotta go get a bagel and everything. But they make his excuses so fake that anybody can tell he's lying. So when his secret is revealed to Lois, like I said, things get better with the show. Somehow Jimmy found out all on his own, but they don't explain how. The League of Loises was probably the best episode with Mix-a-Pix-a-Lot and everything, because you don't know if the League of Loises from different dimensions and also Jimmy Olsen's, are they evil or are they good? And Mr. Pix-a-Lot, is he evil or is he good? And then it turns out that he sends Lois to a place where not every Superman is good. And she stumbles upon like a video recording of every evil Superman in the multiverse, which really terrifies her, but she don't think her Clark would ever do that. So they're doing this whole evil Superman thing again, which they have done a million times in modern day Superman adaptations on screen. They did it in Man of Steel, or well, actually the DCEU. They've done it in Superman and Lois. They've done it in animation, and I'm kind of tired of seeing this storyline over and over. And supposedly, James Gunn's Superman is going to be like that. Supposedly. He has debunked it. But with James Gunn, I always say, watch what he does, not what he says. And so, like, then after that, he gets captured because Intergang wants to, like, kill him because they are now the new Task Force X along with Livewire and a couple other people. Canvas wants to take out Superman because this twist is that when he came to Earth, his spaceship opened a portal to a different dimension and an armada of Kryptonians tried to invade. And there are also all these deadly robot mechs on his ship that tried to like kill people and everything, and in fact they killed a lot of military folks. He doesn't understand why his family would send something like this, but it turns out that it wasn't his family. It's actually Brainiac and Zod who took over the spaceship and all this technology, and every time it gets activated the armada starts to come. So they now know where Earth is at and they plan on coming in the second season. So this is the twist that was really interesting because like I said, the show is not entirely bad. It's just very, very different in everything. But it gets really better towards like the middle and the end. Now, as for the animation, something I keep skipping over in my review, I'm not the biggest fan of the animation template. It's not my favorite. See, I'm a casual anime fan. I do like anime. The only ones I've seen is Sailor Moon, tons of different Digimon series, Death Note, Ronin Warriors, and Marvel anime, which was when Japanese artists started taking their talents and started making like Iron Man, X-Men, Wolverine, Blade, and somebody else, I can't remember who. And the Iron Man and X-Men were really good. So I do like anime, and I do like their styles and their designs, but I'm a casual anime fan. I'm an American, I watch American cartoons, so I expect that I don't care who's animating it, I expect it to look like an American cartoon, and this does not. This looks full on like anime and stuff, and it's a bit jarring, and it makes me feel just kind of like the thing I hate about the animation the most is the faces. See, I don't like modern day anime faces, and I've seen a couple of projects like that, like with Sailor Moon, what's it called, that reboot of Sailor Moon, I forget the reboot name, but it's the one where they rebooted everything and it has different animation styles. I don't like those faces at all. And it's just not for me. And it's happened with a lot of modern day anime stuff. It's those weird faces, and it's hard to describe. It's kind of like a slack jaw, elongated face, these tiny little eyes, a tiny little mouth, elongated nose. It just freaks me out. And this is how I see their faces. It freaks me out and everything because I don't like modern day anime faces, and sometimes their bodies too. It's this new style that they're doing, a lot of their projects are doing. And I've seen this style before because a lot of American cartoons are getting influenced by Japanese anime and stuff. DC in particular, like, when they do like those new 52 animated movies, they had one unique art style and they used to have those weird faces and stuff. Also, there's Superman versus the Elite, which is the best Superman animated movie ever, and it needs to be in live action. But Superman versus the Elite is very influenced by anime. Back in the day of like Justice League, Superman animated series, and Batman animated series, they would have people over in Asian countries animate their stuff, but they would keep the templates looking very American. And it wasn't until they started doing the animated movies, they just started letting the animators do whatever they want. And this is when a lot of their projects started taking on an anime type style. Young Justice did a similar thing. And it's getting to the point where I'm just like really tired of seeing that because it took away from the unique and specialness that Japanese anime has. Because nearly every country wants, they get inspired by anime. Like when Teen Titans and Avatar Last Airbender did it, I was okay with that because I didn't know what an Avatar Last Airbender was, and I was unfamiliar with Teen Titans, and it was also, I was my early adult years, and I just didn't really care. And also because those two teen projects, it fit that style of what they were trying to tell. But when it's something I'm used to seeing, like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and Avengers and all that, then it becomes really odd because they no longer look like American cartoons and stuff. And like I said before, it takes away from the specialness and stuff because with so many animated projects that are out now, they always have some type of influence of Japanese anime, whether it's Ultimate Spider-Man with him making those exaggerated faces and like the devil and the angel like talking to him, or like Marvel Spider-Man with the animated face and fingers and fingernails, or Invincible, or just like Avengers Assemble, like whatever. You can always spot that hint of like anime-ish influence in their stuff. And when I say it takes away from the specialness of real anime, it is because like when I was growing up, American cartoons look like American cartoons. Then you flip around the channels and you find something like Digimon or Sailor Moon or Ronin Warriors, and you're like, holy crap, like what is this? This is something different. This is something unique. This is something special. The animation style looks completely different from what I'm used to seeing. And it was like always a treat. It's like getting like Christmas and your birthday like very early. I like to think about it like this. When you see something like Ronin Warriors, Digimon, or Dragon Ball Z, it feels like gold nuggets are falling out the sky. That's how special it is. When you see something like Sailor Moon, it feels like angel feathers just falling out the sky. Like there's something unique and special about it that is very rare that you never see. And that's how it used to be when I used to see anime and stuff like that, or like Death Note. But now in nearly every but every action-packed cartoon there is, or superhero type stuff, this is what you see now, and it no longer feels unique, and it no longer feels special. And you no longer get to guess which country it came from, because all this style isn't from Japan and animated from Japan. Some are from like South Korea. One is a French cartoon. I think, what was it? Something with fairies and everything. I know She Spies and no, not She Spies, but Totally Spies and Winx, whatever that thing called. I think those are like French cartoons, and they have a very unique art style that also takes influence from anime. And so everything now is all starting to look the same and blend in together, and it took away from its specialness and its uniqueness. Now, I remember back in the day when Star Trek First Contact came out, and one of those Star Wars prequels that George Lucas made in the early 2000s. I saw the concept art for the Board Queen and that one General Sith Lord who was an android robot in Star Wars who had that organic heart. And he had multiple arms when he used the lightsaber and stuff. And I remember the concept art. There was some that was very, very influenced by anime. And so I thought, wow, those are some really cool designs. Like, why didn't they go with those and everything, But those got rejected. And the reason why they got rejected is because those designs were so out there that it took away from what made Star Trek and Star Wars and everything. It just didn't look like Star Trek and Star Wars. It looked like something completely different that you would see in like a sci-fi movie or something. That's different from Star Wars or Star Trek, you know what I'm saying? And so I get that. And it would have took away from this unique special ability and everything. And that's how I feel about like all these animated like superhero stuff taking influence from Japanese cartoons. It's just they're all doing it. And now I feel like anime has lost that spark. It lost that uniqueness. It lost that eye-popping wow factor when you see it, because now you see it in every country now. And so this is why I wish the designs of this show would just be a more traditional and American looking style and everything, because even the end credit is very anime with Jimmy just walking and the credits rolling up, and I'm like, this feels like Sailor Moon in credits or like Digimon 2020 and everything. It doesn't feel like an American cartoon. And so, yeah, there's been a couple of Superman animated shows. There aren't been that many. Like, there's Superman the animated series, but then he popped up in team adventures like Young Justice, Justice League, and what was it? The Legion of Superheroes that came out in the early 2000s, or mid 2000s, I should say, whenever Superman Returns came out. But he hasn't really had his own solo animated series until now. And it's weird because he's had plenty of live action shows and live action movies. And while this is not the greatest Superman cartoon, it's not the worst, because none of them has really ever been the worst. It's just this one is very, very, very different and stuff. Now, James Gunn has said that this show is not in the DCU, but he's not going to get rid of it because of the simple fact he actually likes this cartoon. And so you can actually watch this because it's an Adult Swim show on Cartoon Network, which I don't understand why, because there's nothing adult about this cartoon except for a little blood. But you can watch it there, you can watch it on HBO Max, and you can watch it on Sling. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.